seems like everybody is talking about the Supreme Court's decision to legalize gay marriage, same-sex marriage. And I wanted to give you my 2 cents on the subject. This is a very, well, for most people, it's a very controversial issue. I don't really see it as controversial, and I'm going to try to talk about this more from a right and wrong. First, I want to define something, or I want to clarify something. The argument is from the religious section of the population versus the secular section of the population. And so I want to clarify a little bit here. The religious view on marriage, on this word marriage, because that's what we're talking about here. Marriage is a holy union between one man and one woman, and that has been truth and law for centuries. Nothing is ever going to change that, okay? So if you are a religious person, God has said in the Bible that, marriage is one man, one woman. Man's law, the secular view of marriage, again, the word is marriage that we're talking about here, is a contract. It is a license. You go to get a marriage license, okay? It is something granted by the state to legally recognize the financial joining of 2 people. And everybody's talking about love, and love wins, but it isn't about love, okay? Because you can love someone and nobody needs to know about it. This whole issue of marriage, of that word marriage, is, I feel, being hijacked by the gay community, trying to take something that has been, again, for centuries viewed as a religious term. When you say the word marriage, when you say the word wedding, what comes to mind? A man dressed nicely, a woman in a white gown, family and friends, and there is an efficient priest, pastor, someone performing a ceremony. And that ceremony, again, is usually a religious ceremony. So I want to take this issue on in, again, terms of normalcy, of nature. When you look at it from that perspective, I believe that gay marriage, same-sex marriage, is a falsehood. It's not normal. Nowhere in nature do you see 2 male or 2 female anythings, from fish to birds, dogs, cats, cows, anything. It does not exist in nature. If it did, because you can't ask a dog if you're gay or straight. If it did, that particular lineage would die out. There's no possibility of procreation, okay? So, in essence, the religious view, that is the foundation of family. One male, one female, becoming a family, becoming as one, to start a family and procreate. The secular view, what they're trying to do is say that marriage really just means 2 people that love each other. And they want to recognize that. My issue with this, with the Supreme Court's decision, there are various issues that I have with it, but the main one, it takes away our freedom. Up until last week, each of the 50 states had the ability to regulate and recognize what they deemed, what the citizens in that state deemed a marriage. And it has typically been 1 male, 1 female. There were a few states that did recognize same-sex marriage. Now, The secular left wants to focus on this is a love issue. It's not a love issue, because marriage in the secular realm isn't a love issue. It's a financial issue. Gay and lesbian people want the same rights as straight people. Okay. They want the same financial benefits of marriage. They want the same recognition. And I can understand that. My problem is with the term marriage. Words have meaning. And like I said, when you say marriage or wedding, it denotes a specific meaning. And just because they want to take that word for themselves, they want to change that meaning. And I don't think that's right. If it was truly about simple recognition of I love this person and I want to be recognized for loving this person and I want to be able to share my money and my life with this person, that would be one thing. They would focus on the laws that are already in place. In the early 90s, states, countries worldwide started recognizing civil unions. Okay, there's several terms for it. Civil unions, domestic partnerships. Civil unions are more legally binding. So if it was truly just about, well, I want to be able to leave something to my spouse when I die, or I want to have the same rights as a heterosexual couple, if we're in the hospital and I want to have my partner be able to visit me in the hospital. If that was the only objective, then their focus should have been to expand the law, the rights granted under civil unions. But they didn't go that route. They want to take a word that has for generations meant something very specific and sacred to religious people and have them change their view on it to satisfy their particular lifestyle. And I think that's wrong. I believe that we are all born with an innate sense of right and wrong. I didn't need the Bible to tell me that killing someone is wrong. I didn't need the Bible to tell me that if I love someone and have an affair with someone else, that's wrong. So I'm not coming at this from the religious perspective. I'm coming at it from a naturalistic perspective. Nature. What is normal? I'm going to go off on a little tangent, but hopefully you'll see why. On a personal note, I was born with a disability. I have a visual disability. The state of California and our federal government recognizes me as a person with a disability. I am legally blind. Now, because of that, I'm going to be the first one to tell you that I'm not normal. I am outside the norm. And I don't profess to be normal. Along that same token, I believe that homosexuals are born that way. They don't choose to be gay. I can't change how I was born. My disability can't be corrected by surgery. It can't be, healed with a pill. There isn't an exercise that I can do that's going to change how I am. I am who I am, and I can't say I want to be treated differently or that I don't want to be treated differently. I just want to be me. And for the most part, people treat me as normal. But I'm not. And inevitably, I'm not treated as normal. I'm not given a license to drive by the state of California because I don't meet the norms set by society. Gay people, homosexual people can't change who they are. They're born that way. And now I'm not saying they're disabled, though maybe an argument can be made for that. Well, no, not really, because it's not about ability. But anyway, they're born the way they are. They can't change it. They can't take a pill. They can't do exercise. They are who they are. But they want to be seen as normal. And they are trying to force the general population to accept them as normal. I can't do that, because to me, they're not normal. I'm not saying that they're evil or they're bad, or, I'm not going to say, I'm going to condemn them to hell. So that's a whole different, again, like I said, this issue is really, really complicated. But bottom line, to me, homosexuals are outside the norm. For them to want to take this word, again, words have meaning, to take this word and impose what they want on the general public, I think is wrong. And for the Supreme Court of the United States to basically dictate to all 50 states, you no longer have a say in how you define marriage, I think is wrong. There were, like I said, there were a few states that had already adopted same-sex marriage, and they used that word, and those states voted on it, and the people living in that state supported it. The majority of the states did not, and now they have no say in what they want to recognize. They are forced to recognize same-sex marriage. And again, if it was just about the financial aspect of it, then they should have focused on strengthening the laws surrounding civil union, but they didn't. And that's bothersome to me. Looking at this from the financial point of view, I understand the desire to have the same benefits as a heterosexual couple does with Social Security, death benefits, and retirement benefits going to your spouse. I understand that, and I don't have issues with that. If a gay or lesbian couple lives their life together and one person is dying and wants to leave what they have to their partner, I don't have a problem with that. I don't care. My problem comes when that lifestyle is imposed on people that are in the norm. Now, I know that's going to cause a lot of, well, we are normal. You're not. Up until the 1960s, I believe, marriage between different races was not allowed. And people want to compare the two about, well, it used to be that, white people couldn't marry outside of their race, or black people couldn't marry outside of their race, or Hispanic people couldn't marry outside of their race. Do you want to go back to that? Because it's the same thing with gays. It's not. It is still a man and a woman that can come together and procreate, start a family. Homosexual, same-sex marriage will never result in an offspring with those two people. Therefore, it's outside the norm. It's not natural. I don't care if they want to spend the rest of their life together, if they want to make that commitment. Domestic partnership, civil union, whatever you want to call it, there are legal protections for that. They are recognized. But to take the word marriage, which is a sacred word for religious people, and if you're not religious, respect their views. We're talking about respect. Gay people want the respect that heterosexual people have. Okay, it works both ways. They are disrespecting hundreds, if not thousands of years of what is really the definition of marriage. A union between a man and a woman. If you're religious, blessed by God. And they want to take that. And I'm saddened by the decision of the Supreme Court. I really am. Because again, it affects our freedoms. If the homosexual community was, again, solely focused on they want the same benefits as a married person, then they should have focused their efforts on strengthening the laws surrounding civil unions. But I really don't think that that was their goal. And I think most people have been coerced into believing that that's all they want, marriage equality. I understand equality, wanting the same benefits. But marriage, it shouldn't be part of the discussion. It really shouldn't. I think the Supreme Court made a mistake in validating same-sex marriage. Now, again, I've said, I don't care what homosexuals, who they choose to love. I don't care who heterosexuals choose to love. I don't care. What I do care about are values. What society chooses to see as good or bad, right and wrong, normal and abnormal. The Supreme Court's decision to make same-sex marriage legal across all 50 states is not just condoning same-sex marriage, but it is trying to force the belief that it is just as normal as heterosexual marriage. And that's wrong, because it isn't. People, we need to have standards of what is accepted, what is condoned, what is supported, what is good for society. What is good for society is the family unit. Now, I know that an outrageous number, 75, 80% of marriages, and we're talking straight heterosexual marriages, end in divorce. That's a different issue, and that's wrong. But we strive, when someone enters into a marriage, a heterosexual marriage, we strive to say, this is the person that I want to be with, this is the person I want to start a family with, this is the person I want to grow old with. Everybody enters into a marriage with that belief. What happens afterwards and what leads to divorce, that's a different topic. But the goal is there to strengthen society, to build a strong family unit from which to grow and thrive. Same-sex marriage, although I don't blame them for wanting to be with someone, I just don't believe that they should have the same label as someone who is normal. What bothers me most is that our judicial system, the Supreme Court, is now trying to say that same-sex marriage is just as normal as heterosexual marriage, and it's not. Okay, normal is important. It's a word that means something. It means that you are at the same level as the majority of people. You have a few deviations here and there. Homosexuality is abnormal. And to have the courts impose this idea that they are just as normal as heterosexuals is wrong. And I'm saddened for that. Words like bigot and homophobe and racist and sexist and all these ists that are being thrown around make talking about this subject and expressing true, honest feelings about it almost taboo. I'm sure I'm going to get a laundry list of, how could you say this? And these people just love each other. And who are you to say what's right and wrong? I'm sure I'm going to get those. And I'm okay with that. I expect it. But we have to be able to have this type of conversation, an honest conversation. I'm not going to throw scripture at you, and I'm not going to be in your face. This needs to be, first of all, that's not my personality. Second of all, you shut people out the minute you start yelling. The minute you get in somebody's face, defenses come up. And I want to have this open, honest discussion. Again, I think that truly if the homosexual community simply wanted the same rights as heterosexual couples have when they get married, then their focus should have been on strengthening civil union laws. The term civil union was created for them because they are not normal. Just like the word disabled was created to define someone who is not able to do something that normal people can do. I don't take offense to disabled. I would never call myself differently abled because that to me is more insulting. Look, I'm all about truth here, and I'm speaking my truth. My truth is that I'm saddened that same-sex marriage is now legal in all 50 states. I think we've lost something there. Not only have we lost a little bit of freedom to decide how we define marriage, how each state defines marriage, but culturally, that imposition of this is normal will affect children, grandchildren, future generations. And again, it's a deviation in nature to be homosexual, just like it's a deviation in nature to be born blind or deaf or have cerebral palsy or any other of the hundreds of disabilities that there are. We need to recognize and be honest and open, saying that these people are different. And the term civil union is what should be discussed here. Strengthening the laws around that should have been the goal. Not to take over a word that has its own specific, unique meaning for the majority of the population. And I think that's unfair. Anyway, it's been done. It's now, federal law that all 50 states have to offer same-sex marriage. I don't agree with it, and I'm saddened by it. The chance of love wins. Love was never really the issue. It really wasn't. Because just because you have same-sex marriage today doesn't mean, oh, now I can love someone. That's not right. This term, marriage equality, is a falsehood. You can't have equality over something that does not include a particular population. Again, this is a very complex subject, and I'm sure there's going to be a lot of debate and discussion. I kind of hope there is, because I think it needs to happen. But bottom line, the Supreme Court has ruled, and I don't think it's going to be changed or overruled, or, well, obviously it can't be overruled unless we get new justices and it's relitigated, which it might happen, but I don't think it'll happen in my lifetime. Anyway, those are my thoughts. Leave a comment below. Let me know what you think. Like, share, subscribe, and yeah, see you next video.